Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another breakdown and predictions video. This week we got UFC Fight Night, Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady, UFC London. This is actually a really good card. I'm looking forward to this one. Interesting fights on the card. I think there's some good betting angles on this card to hit. So, looking forward to break this fight card down. I feel like we've been doing a good job giving you guys some good information lately. Last week we hit on the play of the week with Roman Dolidze. We had another underdog that I was pretty confident in that came through with Priscilla Cachoeira. And the most confident pick of the week also did come through. So hopefully we can give you guys some good info again. But hit that like button, put a comment down below. And if you want access to bets, other content, go to patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru. It's going to be in the description. You're going to be able to help the channel that way as well. Last week we did really well betting on Cage Warriors. So if you want access to the Cage Warriors bets that we are going to have this week, then go over to patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru. And finally, hit the like button. Let's try to get 100 likes, man. That would be awesome. As many likes as possible would be great for me. And then put some comments down below, man. Let's try to get some interaction on this video. I'd really appreciate that. And let's get into these predictions here. The first fight of the night, we got Guram Kutateladze. He's going to be taking on Kyle Fernandez. And to me, I think Guram should be a decent favorite. But all his fights in the UFC have been fairly close, and I do think that Fernandez is a pretty dangerous guy. So it's one that I'm a little weary about when you look at the line at like minus 450. But I feel like Guram is going to pressure him. He's going to stay tight. Maybe he'll get clipped early with some shots. I mean, I do think that Fernandez is a little faster, but if Guram can get on the inside, I think he's going to have the superior striking there. Fernandez is striking a lot of straight punches, a lot of kicks, and I think Guram could take him down as well. And he has to be wary of the guard of Fernandez, but I feel like Guram is enough of a veteran that he's not going to get submitted with something off of Fernandez's back more than likely. So I think that Guram via decision is what I'm kind of thinking with this fight. And honestly, I think that you could look to maybe target that as a bet, Guram by decision. But I think the money line's a little wide just because Fernandez does have some danger factor on the feet. And Guram is a guy that he's been a big favorite in a lot of his UFC fights, but hasn't been able to really cover that price tag in a lot of these matchups. So we'll see if he can do it this time around, and I think Guram is going to get the win here and keep it rolling in the UFC. And the next fight we have on this card is Nathan Fletcher versus Kyle Loughran. Kind of a regional fight here. These guys could have easily ended up fighting in Cage Warriors, but they're getting matched in the UFC. And they did fight as amateurs, where Nathan Fletcher came away with a pretty dominant and easy victory. And I put that fight up on my YouTube channel, so you can go and watch it if you haven't seen it. But both those guys at that point were really raw. And, I mean, Fletcher was just way ahead of him in the wrestling. He took him down and controlled him pretty much for the majority of the fight. Loughran had a couple moments, but easy win for Fletcher the first time these guys fought. And since then, Nathan Fletcher, he had a good career in Cage Warriors, but he wasn't able to get the belt. He left Cage Warriors, fought on Ultimate Fighter, ended up losing to Khan awfully on the show. He was fighting at 145, and I think he had a torn ACL, or he had some issue where it even hindered his performance even further. And the fight with Offley, he just was too small. He got out-wrestled and controlled and beat up in that one. And then he fought Ziggy Montes from Mosca in the UFC, was able to give a better count of himself. He was able to get a takedown, get the finish, which is what he likes to do. And now he's taking on someone in Kyle Loughran, who was able to get the belt in Cage Warriors, came to the UFC undefeated with some pretty lofty expectations, but dropped a hard fight to Taylor Lapilus, short notice fight in France. And he bounced back with the win over Angel Pacheco, who's nothing special, and then lost another decision to Jake Hadley, which was a bad loss there and really kind of has dropped Loughran's stock. So now Loughran is in a position where he has to prove the hype surrounding him before he got to the UFC was real. And for Nathan Fletcher, he's just looking to cement himself as a UFC level fighter. So it's a pretty big fight for both guys here. And I think that Fletcher is still going to be the better grappler. It's just going to come down to, is Colin Loughran a good enough wrestler now to where he can pin Nathan Fletcher against the cage and use that physicality to control him there, or negate the takedowns or reverse the takedowns and get on top and kind of ride Nathan Fletcher out, or keep it standing and get the better of it on the feet? Because I do think that Loughran is the better striker. He is one of these guys that's pretty quick and he can close the distance fast. He'll throw decent hand combinations. Even though he's kind of has a short, compact build, he'll throw good shots on the inside. Fletcher, he's going to be trying to use the jab, move around, get Loughran to overextend, and then time that takedown, get under him, and then control him on top like he did the first fight. Try to find the finish. And conditioning-wise, both these guys usually have good cardio. I feel like Loughran is the guy that probably is a little bit better with his pacing and conditioning, but I don't think it's going to be a major issue for either guy. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Fletcher here because I think he intangibly, has the longer reach and just a little more athletic, and I think that he could probably keep the range with the jab and then mix in some takedowns and steal this decision. But it's a close money line for a reason, and it's a fight that, as far as all these fights on the card you can bet on, I don't think it's one that I would personally target, but I'm going to say Fletcher gets the victory. And in the third fight of the night, we got a women's fight between Shauna, Bannon, and Puja, Tomar. Shauna Bannon, she came into the UFC undefeated. She had some hype, but quickly that got quelled by Bruna Brazil, and she was able to bounce back, get the win her last fight, but it wasn't really a super elite victory or anything. It didn't convince anybody that she was coming up or anything like that. And she's taking on Puja Tomar, who she was a big underdog. I actually bet her and picked her to get the win over Riani Amanda. She was like plus 265-ish, I believe. And it was a close fight, but she came through, got the victory, and now she's looking to make it 2-0 in the UFC. And I feel like on paper you could say it's like an easier opponent, but I think that style-wise these girls are very similar. I mean, Shauna Bannon had some big moments where she came into the UFC, fought IMAF, she fought for Invicta. Puja was over there fighting for one championship. And style-wise, you look at Shauna Bannon, she has that karate taekwondo style. She likes to have the bladed stance. She'll use a lot of lead leg side kicks. And same exact thing for Puja Tomar. She likes to do the same thing. Puja, I think, is a little more aggressive on the inside, letting the hands go. Maybe a little bit faster hands. And grappling-wise, I would give the edge to Bannon, but I think Puja's a little more physical. In the clinch, I think Puja's going to be a little stronger, a little better there. And I think Puja probably could keep it standing. And I just think optically it's going to be a low-volume fight for, let's say, 3-4 minutes of the round. And then I think the person that's going to have a little more eye-popping action on the inside that might let a big flurry off on the feet is Puja. So I'm kind of leaning towards Puja Tomar just to dog it out. Win a close decision. I just feel like she can capitalize on optics and maybe just push a little bit harder in the biggest moments of the fight to separate herself. So leaning towards Puja a little bit. I just don't like. I'm not too. I don't trust Bannon too much. I feel like she isn't someone that really can bite down and win in a really close fight, or you can't trust her to do it every time. And I think with Puja, she's just gonna have that little bit extra gear. So Give me Tomar via decision. And up next we got Christian Leroy Duncan. He's taking on Andrey Pulyaev. And full disclosure, I didn't like seeing CLG had such a big favorite price tag, so I was kind of trying to find reasons maybe to pull the trigger on Pulyaev, but I just couldn't really get there. I mean, CLD, I don't think he's the greatest fighter. Like, he's good, but I think he got a little overhyped because on the feet, I just don't really think he has the best boxing. He's decent movement. You'll kind of move around, lull you, and then explode in with these crazy attacks. And on the inside, he has really unique, dangerous, fun offense to watch. But if you can kind of walk him down, keep that effective pressure, box him up, you could definitely get the best of him. And his wrestling defense is good, but the better guys in the division could take him down and control him and probably submit him. He's someone that's very athletic. He is unique with the stand-up on the feet, and then he can mix it up a little bit with the grappling and the wrestling. But I don't know if he's ever going to get into the rankings or anything. But with Pulyaev, he likes to keep it at distance and throw a lot of kicks, and he has good counter check hooks. But I feel like COD could probably win a range striking fight and maybe even connect and knock Pulyaev out, who I think defensively leaves some openings. And even if he can, and he's struggling a little bit with the range, because Pulyaev is also a very long guy that has crafty stand-up, I think COD could go and pin him against the fence and out-clinch this guy. I think he could even take him down potentially. And I just think COD has more paths to victory here. He's the more well-rounded, better fighter. Pulyaev, not fully sold on him yet, so I'm going to say COD wins this one, and I think he can win inside the distance. And the next fight on the card that we have is a heavyweight fight between Marcin Tybura and Mick Parkin. Marcin Tybura, he is the fighter that's been the mainstay in the rankings for years. He's been in the UFC for almost a decade, or if not over a decade at this point. And Mick Parkin, fresh in the UFC, but I think he's proven himself. He's gotten some wins at this point, and now he's looking to see if he can break through and get into the rankings by beating Tybura. When you look at how these guys match up, I think that it's pretty obvious that Tybura is going to have to get it to the ground. On the feet, Mick Parkin might not outclass Tybura entirely. I mean, Tybura kind of is awkward because you always know he's going to be able to, or going to be trying to level change on you, and then he'll explode in with kind of punch flurries, and he will have these offbeat rhythm, and even has some head kick knockouts and some wins in that manner. But I think that Mick Parkin, sharper with the jab. I think he attacks all parts of the body well. I think the calf kicks for Parkin are going to be there, and he could eventually, maybe, if he could deny the takedowns, get Tybura a little desperate by adding damage together, and then eventually land the big shot that gets Tybura out of there, or a flurry of shots. And one thing about Mick Parkin that I like in this matchup is he does have a lot of big training partners that are good wrestlers, good grapplers, and he's probably on a regular basis having to deal with guys trying to take him down, him being on his back, having to get back up, having to defend submissions. And you see glimpses of that. Like, there's a fight where he got his back exposed for a second and was able to dump his opponent off really quickly and showed good instincts there. And his takedown defenses looked pretty solid. And if he could defend a few takedowns early, I think he can kind of start to take over the fight, demoralize Tybura, and make Tybura force into more of a stand-up battle. And I just think that Parkin, it's more his time at this stage. I feel like he is going to be able to use his feet after chopping the leg kicks and his jab to keep the distance fairly well. And I think he's going to make Tybura have to make a mistake or two to close the distance, and I think that's where he's going to capitalize and get the finish. So I'm going to go with Mick Parkin here to win round 2, round 3 KO TKO. And this next fight, we got a prospect fight that should be a banger between Loner Kavanagh and Felipe dos Santos. And man, Loner Kavanagh, great debut in the UFC. I think that it was a lot closer than people expected, but that's more because Ochoa was kind of an unknown commodity that I think people are going to learn about in the future. And Kavanagh had that great knockout in Contender Series, so I think people were expecting that a little bit, but we saw him go all 3 rounds. We saw him have to fight a hard fight, and he got the job done. And Felipe dos Santos, 1-2 in the UFC, but he's had to fight Andre Lima, Manel Cape, and he got the win over Victor Altamirano. That was a little bit suspect, but that's even a hard fight as well. So, man, I mean, they're giving him a murderer's row, and it doesn't change with the matchup of Loner Kavanagh. And I think on the feet, this is going to be a great fight. Felipe dos Santos throws a lot of really nice kicks. He's going to be a little bit taller, a little longer. But I think that Kavanagh, with the lead hand offense, is going to be able to land a lot of left hooks, and that's his money punch. Dos Santos is going to have to be able to figure out how to set the kicks up a little better than he has in previous fights, or use his hands first, which he really only uses the big right hand. He has a good right hand, and he has durability, so he'll take a shot and then come with a return punch, and you got to be aware of that. But he doesn't really have great boxing. It's really pressure kicks. When you get tired, he'll, turn up on you and throw some hard punches, but he wants to take your best shots, eat them, keep walking you down, wear you down, throw a lot of kicks on the outside, and eventually get you so tired that he can get you out of there. And his grappling is decent as well, but he could be taken down and controlled. We've seen that in a couple of his fights now. And even though he has some ability to take you down himself, he usually doesn't do that in a lot of his fights. I think that Loner would be smart to mix in the takedowns here, because on the feet, I think Kavanagh is sharper. He throws a lot of really nice single shots, and I think he's going to be able to land some nice hard counters. He might even be able to drop and hurt Dos Santos on some occasions. His front kicks to the body are nasty. His leg kicks are nasty too, so I think he can match Dos Santos with some kicks in that accumulation of damage game. But Kavanagh sometimes does load up and leave some openings. And if Dos Santos is able to eat his shots and, be a durable zombie like he normally is, it might behoove Loner to mix it up just so he doesn't get in these exchanges as much as he has to and get caught unnecessarily and have the fight kind of slip away from him in that way. But I think more than likely, Felipe is going to stay tough. He's going to be pressure, and he's going to make it a fun fight. He's going to probably land some shots of his own, some big kicks, but he's just going to be a step behind, and I think Loner can mix in some takedowns as well, and I think Kavanagh is going to get the win on the scorecards here. And closing out the prelims, we got another sick fight between Jai Herbert and Chris Padilla, and I like both these guys, man. Jai Herbert is someone that's kind of grown on me. When he first came to the UFC, I wasn't fully sold on this guy, especially after his knockout loss to Trinaldo. But I think he's really skilled. I mean, on the feet, at range, he has really nice kicks. Nice straight punches, kind of that Leon Edwards offense. They train out of the same camp. And when you close the distance on him, he'll grab you, clinch you. He's gotten really strong at 155. He has good knees. And he can mix in nice clinch takedowns as well. And on top of that, he's improved his takedown defense. And if you do put him on his back, he'll butcher you on bottom. We saw that when he fought Ludovic Klein. I mean, Ludovic Klein took down Jai Herbert in the first round. Herbert cut him open and was landing elbows, landing up kicks, and Ludovic Klein didn't take him down for the rest of the fight. So if you take down Herbert, he's going to be throwing up offense off bottom. And on the feet, he's going to have offense at range. And when you close the distance and try to get on the inside on him, he's good at clinching you up and kind of slowing down the pace of the fight that way and using weapons on the inside. But he is hittable over the top. You do see him get hit with punches. Leg kicks are also something that he struggles with. And, even though his cardio is good, he will start to slow down a little bit. We've seen him get knocked out in fights, and he's fairly durable, but I think that he is someone that if you touch him on the button, you can put him down, you can rock him, you can knock him out. And even though he beat Rolando Bedoya, you saw Bedoya kind of hurting him and getting to him towards the end of the fight. His face was really busted up at the end of it. And Herbert is 36, so in terms of age, he's getting a little up there. He's not fighting the most frequently anymore, so I think that even though there's been no signs of slippage in his performances, I actually think the opposite. I think that he's been looking just as good, if not better than ever. But I think that there could be a time where, and it could be this fight, where he starts to look a little older. But Chris Padilla has been impressive. He gotten 2 upsets so far in the UFC, and I feel like he's well-rounded and he fights smart. He has good game plans. I've watched fights he's had outside the UFC where he's fought different ways, and he can mix it up. He can get takedowns. He has good chokes. We saw that in his debut in the UFC where he jumped on that Runica choke really quickly. And on the feet, he has nice power. He'll throw elbows. He'll throw knees. Good punches over the top. He's kind of deceptively fast, and he'll land these nice slick counters. And I think that his style is going to be effective versus Herbert on the feet. I think Herbert maybe could be landing and doing a little bit more volume-wise, but I think that Padilla is going to land the leg kicks. He's going to start to make Herbert a little more stationary and then land shots over the top, big punches. I think he's going to be more durable. I think the elbows can land, the knees, and I think that he's going to knock out Jai Herbert. So Chris Padilla for me is going to be the prediction. I think he's going to be able to get another win and continue this great run that he's been on in the UFC. And Chris Padilla, I think, is going to get a finish as well. So give me Padilla to win this one inside the distance.
And kicking the main card off, I feel like I've said this about the last few fights, but another sick fight, man. Nathaniel Wood taking on Morgan Charriere. I think this is a really underrated banger that you could put on in this 145-pound division. Both these guys are not ranked, but they're very skilled, and every time you put them in there, they're going to have an action-packed fight, just the way that they throw down. And when I first saw this matchup, I was leaning towards Charriere. I honestly, and I don't know if I am yet, but I just wasn't too sold on Nathaniel Wood at 45s, but he's done well at this weight division, man. And even though he's had some fights where you could tell that the size was a factor, like Pineda, I think, won some positions because he was a little bigger. I think that Andrey Fili rocked Nathaniel Wood a couple times, maybe because of the size, but he can hang with these guys, and he's proven that, and his power is transferred into this weight class, and I think that's one of the major things that Wood brings to the cage. But Morgan Charriere, he's had 3 fights in the UFC. He's won 2 of them inside the distance with pretty nasty finishes, and his one loss to Chepe was a split decision that could have went either way in a back-and-forth war. So he's been nothing short of awesome since he's joined the promotion. And when you look at these guys style-wise, like I said, I was kind of thinking I was leaning heavy towards Charriere, but I switched my prediction. I'm going to go with Nathaniel Wood to win this one. I think that Nathaniel Wood, even though Charriere maybe is a little sharper, could definitely catch him with some heat coming in. Wood gets rocked a lot. He gets dropped early in a lot of his fights, but he has that ability to endure, and I think his leg kicks are going to be effective. I feel like when these guys start to exchange in the pocket, after Wood gets the reins a little bit, I think he's going to throw more, and land just as heavy, if not heavier. And I just feel like Wood, if these two guys start to clinch and it becomes a dirty, ugly fight, will be a little bit better in the grappling with the body lock takedowns. I think if he gets put on his back, that's what I'm worried about, because I don't know if he'll be able to stand up against a bigger guy, but I just feel like he's going to dog it out. He's going to be a little bit more effective on the feet. I think that he can land the heavier punches over time and have the better conditioning. And Charriere, he just likes to fight too pretty to me, man. And he's trying to pick these perfect punches, perfect shots, and I think that Nathaniel Wood is going to plug away. He's going to throw the volume with the kicks, and I think that he's just going to be a little bit more effective and get this victory here. So give me Nathaniel Wood to get the upset over Morgan Charriere. And this next fight, this is my most confident pick on the card with Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. I just think Jordan Vucenic, he's just better everywhere, man. He's bigger and he's more athletic as well. And Chris Duncan is a good fighter. I think he is has a great mindset for the sport. You know, he's very tough. He went to ATT and has tried to round out his game and be as good as he can be to make it as far as he can. But Jordan Vucenic, super slick guy, very smooth on the feet. I think that Duncan, you know, stiff as he comes forward, very hittable guy that's kind of a heavy-handed guy that takes damage to give damage. He could eat shots and then put you against a cage and take you down, and he's going to have to try to absorb a lot of damage and maybe find that big punch over the top, you know, that one-shot knockout, you know, puncher's chance type of finish, or stuff Vucenic against the cage and really stall out the fight there and maybe mix in some takedowns. But I think Vucenic is too fast, too slick, too good at footwork to just get pushed against the fence. And I think he's going to pull Chris Duncan into a lot of strikes and hurt him. I think he could knock him down. I think he'd even drop him or knock him out as well. And on top of that, Vucenic has really good offensive wrestling himself. I think he could take Chris Duncan down if he wanted to with the double legs. I think that if Chris Duncan shoots in on him with a sloppy shot, or if Vucenic hurts him, he could jump on the neck and submit him. And I think Vucenic has other submissions he has that are nice from the top position. And Vucenic has really good cardio, and he's a dog too, so he's not someone that I'm worried about giving up or quitting if this becomes a hard fight. He's also very durable, so I just don't think there's a lot of outs for Chris Duncan in this one, and I think that Vucenic is actually going to get this one done inside the distance, either club and sub, finish Chris Duncan, or knock him out. But I got Jordan Vucenic. We got Molly Meatball McCann fighting once again at the O2. She's taking on Alexia Thainara, and this is the spot where Molly McCann got her two famous knockout victories in the UFC, but she's had mixed results in the O2. Her last time she fought here, she got submitted in the first round, and she's had other losses in England as well as wins, so this is a make-or-break fight for her, I feel like. She had that run back in the day, but recently she's not been looking the best, bouncing around weight classes. Now she's at 115 again, where this is her optimal weight class, the weight class where she's probably going to be able to have the most success in the UFC. But if she wants to stay around, I think that she has to be able to beat someone like Alexia Thainara, who is coming in on her debut. You have almost 15 UFC fights. You've been in the rankings. You fought the best of the best. You have title aspirations. I mean, fuck, you were carrying the belt in the cage like you were the champ a little while back. So you should be able to beat someone like Thainara. If you can, I don't really know why you're sticking around. But Thainara is a hard fight. I mean, she won on the Contender Series to get her contract in the UFC. Before that, she was a champion in Brazilian promotions. And she's a very athletic, aggressive fighter. And you see, matchup-wise, I mean, Thainara's striking is a little bit sloppy. There's definitely openings for McCann to catch her as she's coming in. But McCann's going to have to knock her out, man, I feel like, because she's not going to be able to match the volume and aggression. I don't think that she's going to be able to stop Thainara from pressuring her and coming forward. Thainara is just a bulldog. And Thainara is someone that wants to kind of use her athleticism, slip and rip, get wild on the feet, force exchanges, and her chin is there to be hit. Like I said, McCann will have some opportunities, and McCann is the better technical striker. But when girls start to engage in the stand-up, Thainara is going to level change, take them down. She has a really explosive double and good top control, good ground and pound, and her cardio is really good. And with Molly McCann, I mean, she's had issues being taken down in the past, and her grappling isn't necessarily the best. I feel like Thainara could take her back and submit her early, or take her back and armbar, runic, a choker. I mean, McCann has that chance to knock her out because Thainara's inexperienced. She's going to be fighting in front of a huge crowd. It's going to be a whole new environment for Thainara, UFC debut, and she leaves those openings on the feet. She gets wild, and McCann could slip something in there. But if McCann doesn't find that kill shot, I think Thainara is rolling here and getting a dominant victory. So give me Alexia Thainara. I think she can even win via submission. But if it's a decision, I think it's a dominant one. And I'm going to go with Thainara. And in the feature fight of the night, we got Kevin Holland making a quick turnaround, taking on Gunnar Nelson. And the crazy train continues for Holland, man. I mean, this is going to be his second fight this year already. 2 fights at 85. Previous, and now he's back at 170. Hopefully that means we get a better, more focused Holland. The last 2 performances have been really bad from him, and I feel like MVP kind of broke his fighting spirit. Before the MVP fight, Holland was going tooth and nail to a split decision with someone like Jack Della, but now, you know, regardless if he was fighting grapplers, fighting at 170 or not, or at 185 or not, he just wasn't even being competitive. I mean, this fight might be the end of the line for Holland if he has another performance like that. So yes, to really show out and show up this time, but Gunnar Nelson poking his head out again, putting on the gloves for the first time in 2 years. Part of kind of a dying era as far as the UFC goes. He's one of the longest tenured fighters in the company. He had his first fight 13 years ago, and he came in and kind of paved the way for Conor McGregor, other SBG fighters in the UFC, and still going in 2025. But recently, we're lucky to see him fight even once a year. Since 2019, he's only had 3 fights, but he's won 2 fights in a row. And his last fight was 2 years ago, and it didn't even go 5 minutes. But he hasn't had much wear and tear. He's not super old at 36, so theoretically, he should still be good. I mean, this is a chance for him to fight in the UK. He's a fan favorite. He's getting a big paycheck, and we'll see if he can get another victory. And he's a fighter who has maintained his uniqueness throughout generations. A lot of the time, you'll see guys' styles kind of become outdated, but even for today's standards, Nelson has much more skill than most fighters. On the feet, he has the long karate stance, closes distance extremely fast. He'll throw nice kicks to all parts of the body, fast straight punches. He's looking to body lock you, get the takedown, and he has extremely low volume on the feet. If you don't overextend or let him back you up to the fence, he isn't really going to throw much, but that also makes him very hard to hit, and he's only been knocked out once, and that was controversial. And elite jiu-jitsu, he's super dangerous on top, brutal elbows, heavy top pressure, good back takes. He has a couple armbar wins. He has rear naked choke wins, and he doesn't want to end up on his back in this fight because he does end up playing jiu-jitsu a lot of the time, and Holland's elbows, ground and pound, are going to be potentially threatening for Nelson, but I think obviously for Nelson, if it's on the ground and he's on top, he's going to be in a big advantageous position. And for Kevin Holland, you know, nice 1-2s, good counter left hook, dangerous straight punches, big power, odd angles that he's throwing from, and he has decent kicks as well. And in the clinch, he has nice knees, nice elbows. Obviously, we know with this wrestling and grappling, it hasn't really been there throughout his career, even though he's a black belt. He used that more defensively, and recently he's been getting submitted either way. And it's a weird fight, but I don't know. I'm going to say Gunnar via first-round submission. I just think it's going to be a more risk-averse, composed, smarter fighter. He's going to move around on the outside. He'll get Holland either fall asleep where he can explode in or take him down, or maybe get Holland to overextend and get the takedown, and I think he can get the finish on top. I mean, I just don't trust Holland at this point, but if you're looking at it from a value perspective, I mean, I think maybe Holland has some value when he was the underdog. Now the line's getting almost even money. I'm not really too sure what to think about this fight, but I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson as just a prediction. In co-main event time, we got the legendary Polish power Jan Blachowicz. he's back. He's not ready to say die. The 42-year-old has had to battle back from some hard injuries to get back to the octagon, and he is the former champion, and he's coming off 2 razor-thin decisions against the current and former champion of the division with Alex Pereira, Magomed, and Pulyaev. There's an argument that Jan won both of those fights, but came away with a loss and a draw. So his last win was May of 2022, and even in that fight, his opponent got injured throwing a kick. The last clean victory that Blachowicz actually has gotten is pretty crazy to say, but over Israel Adesanya. But he still feels he has one more run left in him, and it starts with Carlos Ulberg. And you look at Jan, extremely high-level striker. He has excellent defense. He stays tight. He's economical. His chin is super good, so he could take a shot and risks if he's losing. And offensively, he has to be confident in his leg kicks doing damage here. We saw Dong Jung do good damage. Vulcan do some decent damage with the leg kicks. And his jab is nice. He has dangerous counter hooks. He'll explode in with punch combinations, hard body kicks, just super sharp, accurate, and clean offense, and intelligent defense. And he's won fights, lost fights due to wrestling. He has been able to get some body locks on guys like Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, but there's been other fights where he's gotten out-grappled. This fight obviously falls in the first category where he should be the better grappler, and I think he might have a little bit harder time getting inside on Ulberg, who's a little more long than an Izzy and a little more mobile. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't want to say he's more mobile than Izzy. I'm not sure about that, but I just think it's going to be a little harder to get on him, and he's a little bigger, but Jan is going to try to mix in the takedowns, I think, especially after what he was able to do against Pereira, getting him down several times their last fight, and versus Israel, who's out of the same gym as Carlos Ulberg. But conditioning is a big question, man. I mean, the last time we saw Jan, he was fighting at elevation. He wrestled a lot, which he's not usually doing, but completely gassed out in the third round. Now he's 42. He's coming off a layoff. I don't know how his conditioning is going to look, but he's going to be hammering the legs. He's going to be looking to blast that lead hand counter, and I think he's going to be looking to mix in some takedowns. So Jan is always going to be a viable guy. And Carlos Ulberg, getting the opportunity of his career. He's 34. He's racked up 7 UFC wins and slowly but surely stepped up the competition, but this is the first former champion that he's going to have fought. His best win is Volkan Ozdemir, so pretty major step up of competition in my opinion, but if he wins this fight, he's probably one fight away from a title shot. And Ulberg is a prototypical city kickboxing fighter. He's tall, he's long, he's lanky, throws hard calf kicks, he uses a lot of footwork, pulls fighters into his hands, good hand speed, good counter hooks, counter crosses, mostly goes to the head, but he will hit the body too. He's accurate, great hand speed, and nice combos on the inside. I actually think he has better hand combos on the inside than most of the city kickboxing guys. He was able to use footwork angles, kind of tag up Ozdemir from range his last fight. And the speed disadvantage was so great for Ulberg, which I think is going to be similar here. But Ulberg does slow down a little bit, and he needs to, in my opinion, which he showed in his last fight, he bit down on the mouthpiece and made it more of a dogfight in round 3. He needs to show that a little more in these fights, because I don't think that once he starts getting in these 5-round fights, he's going to be able to dance around for all 5 rounds unless he puts some damage on guys a little earlier. But Ulberg, he hasn't had to defend many takedowns in the UFC, and I think he's going to have to defend some here, but honestly, I think it'll be more of a stand-up fight, and I think it's going to be competitive. But if it gets to a decision and Yan doesn't land the big left hook or a barrage of shots to end it, I think Ulberg is going to get the win. And I think that Yan has an alright chance, but I have to pick the younger fighter who's been more active. And I'll say Ulberg uses his speed to win a decision and takes this fight. And finally, we got the main event. We got Leon Edwards taking on Sean Brady. And former champ Leon Edwards making his return for the first time since dropping the belt last July. And not only did Edwards lose the title, but it was his first loss in over 8 years. And the UFC originally booked him to fight another striker in Jack Della Maddalena, which I'm sure he was extremely happy about because he hasn't fought someone who's been looking to strike with him since he fought Nate Diaz almost 4 years ago. And he's gone from a striking fight to maybe the most wrestling-centric fighter in the weight class, Sean Brady. So props on Edwards to say yes to this replacement. And Sean Brady, arguably the best grappler in the UFC at 170. He's dominated almost every opponent he's gotten in the cage with. And he's coming off impressive wins over Kelvin Gastelum and Gilbert Burns. 17-1, 7-1 in the UFC. The one loss he's had is to the current champ, Belal Muhammad. And he's coming in here on short notice. The last time he fought overseas versus Belal, he said he had a flat performance. So hopefully we could see Sean Brady at his optimum here. But you look at Brady, very fast on the feet. He is planted. He's ready to explode in, almost like a sprinter stance that he has. And he'll pull fighters into the jabs, check hooks, straights, 3-2s, good hand speed. I think he has underrated hand speed. Closes the distance quickly. He'll mix in kicks too, nice leg kicks, body kicks. But if you could pressure Brady and try to get on the inside, throw combinations like we saw Belal Muhammad do, or use feints and kind of pressure, use kicks, get Brady to open up and then counter him, you could get off on him on the feet. And he has great timing on his double legs. If you overextend, he's in on your legs. And if Brady gets you up against the fence, he's extremely strong. He can get you to the ground from there with a lot of different trips and variations of takedowns. And when Brady gets top position, good luck standing up. He's extremely heavy. If you leave something out there or get impatient looking to stand up, he's going to get the submission. His conditioning is top notch. I feel like Kelvin Gastelum was kind of an easy fight for him because Kelvin was too small and couldn't stop the takedowns. He was forced to try to get wild to finish the fight. Didn't really have outside striking. And his win over Burns was more impressive. When he got taken down, he got right back up. He dominated the stand-up. He was sharper. He had a speed advantage. His hand combinations looked good. And although I would have liked to see him rip the body more, he did really well on the feet versus Burns. And Burns didn't really give him a lot of offense to worry about. But he showed that he could win a fight without having to rely heavily on the wrestling. And he proved that he can go 5 rounds at a pretty decent pace, which in other fights he's gotten tired. So that was good to see there. But Leon Edwards, extremely smooth southpaw, long, rangy, powerful, explosive. He'll pull you into shots. He can be low volume, but he's a sniper. Really nice straights, really heavy kicks, check hooks. He's mostly looking to throw 1-2s. He'll throw hard body kicks, head kicks, one-punch knockout power. Tends to fight off the back foot, so it's going to be interesting to see who takes the lead here. If it stays at distance, you have to expect Leon is going to be very willing to oblige in that type of fight, though, and probably get the better of it. Sometimes Edwards can get backed up near the fence, and that's where he has to avoid being here in this fight. I think he has to own the center, maybe pressure a little bit more and open up, and just try to use the kicks and stay at range and set the kicks up with feints and with your lead hand offense, and then try to get Brady tired where you could start to walk him down and put the combinations on him. But Leon needs to try to find the knee and elbows again here, I think, as well. There are openings in the clinch close range for him to land elbows, which maybe could win him the fight. And he's one of the more dangerous ground and pounders at 170. If he could hurt Brady and get on top, I think he could do damage there. Or if he could surprise him with the takedown like he did Usman. But I came into this matchup before digging into it, kind of expecting to predict Brady to win, but I'm going to reluctantly pick Leon Edwards. I think he's going to be able to land from range. Brady's going to struggle to find the opportunities to time takedowns. I see it being a slow-paced fight where Edwards maybe finds a finish with single shots or wins a ho-hum decision, but if Brady was someone who was a bit more of a front foot fighter who uses hands to get takedowns, I'd pick him, but I think his style of laying back to explode in for takedowns isn't going to be as effective versus Leon. And we saw him fall apart versus Belal when he couldn't get the takedown. I think Edwards could maybe overwhelm him too if he gets the ball rolling. But I'm going to predict Leon Edwards wins this over 5 rounds, takes a decision here, gets back on track, proves that he's not done yet, and sends back Sean Brady as the slight underdog here. So there you have it, guys. It's a full card breakdown and predictions video for UFC London. Got the underdog in the main event, picking a couple other dogs. And gave you guys a pick for every fight throughout the card. So hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like I said at the start of the video, man, hit the like button. Let's try to get as many likes as possible on this. I would really appreciate that. And outside of that, for my most confident pick on the card, like I said at the start of the prediction, I got Jordan Vucenic as my most confident pick. For the play of the week on this card, I'm going to say to go ahead and play Chris Padilla. I think Chris Padilla inside the distance as well is a good play. So that's going to be my play of the week for this card. And thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button. Put a comment down below. Like I said, let's try to get 100 likes. Go to patreon.com/PredictionGuru to get access to all my bets, other promotions, predictions, and breakdowns, and just to help the channel in general. And outside of that, guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.